Then he said, a certain man had 2 sons. And the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of the goods that falls to me. So he divided to them his livelihood. And not many days afterward, the younger son gathered all together and journeyed to a far country, and there wasted his possessions. But when he had spent all, there arose a severe famine in the land, and he began to be in need. And then he joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his field to feed the pigs. And he would gladly have filled his stomach with the pods that the swine ate, and no one gave him anything. And he would gladly have filled his stomach with the pods that the swine ate. But when he came to himself, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my father's, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. And he arose and came to his father. But when he was still a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion on him, and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. And he said, Son, and the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight, and am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to him, bring out the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and sandals on his feet. For all these many days, his father had come out of the house and looked down the road in the direction he had left. And he was looking for him to return home. And when he finally saw him coming, he ran out and he took him by the neck and he kissed him. And he had a speech prepared. He began to tell his father what he had planned to say. And his father took him by the neck and kissed him. And if you can see that father, he actually ran out to where the son was. And he kissed him and interrupted his speech. And he didn't even allow him to finish what he was going to say. But he kissed him and he ordered him to be dressed in the best robe in the house. And if you can imagine, the best robe in the house would have been his robe. And they went to the closet and took his robe and brought it out to the son. And he dressed him in the best robe, and then he ordered a ring to be put on his finger. And that was a family symbol that every member of the family would wear. And it was like a credit card. And they could pay for anything with that ring. And he said, put a ring on his finger. And he then ordered them to bring out the fatted calf. And they were going to have a party. If you can imagine, the father had been thoroughly insulted by their son. He had asked for his share of the inheritance while his father was still alive. He was in effect saying, I wish you were dead. He had demanded that the inheritance be given to him while his father was still alive. And then, after he had left and spent all the money he had, he comes back home with nothing. And his father reinstates him in the family. And he gives them a ring. And he says, let's have a party. And then the story says, the young brother approached the house and he could tell something was going on. But he didn't know what his father had ordered. And he approaches the house and he heard music and dancing. And he is thoroughly disgusted. And he says, what is going on? What is happening here? And he demands to know what's going on. And it is explained to him his brother has returned home and his father has ordered a party. If you can see the story from the father's perspective, it's time for a party. But this older brother is thinking to himself, what is going on? I didn't order a party, but the father has nothing except that which belongs to the older brother. And he has ordered a party. And the older brother would not go into the house. And so there's a question at the end of the story. The older brother is outside the house, very upset. The younger brother and his father are in the house. And there's a party going on. And the older brother said to his father, it says he was angry and would not go in. Therefore his father came out and pleaded with him. And he says to his father, I never transgressed your commandment. And he imagines in his entire life, he never transgressed his father's commandment. He says, these many years I have served you. I never transgressed your commandment at any time. He says, and you never gave me a fatted calf. And he says, yet you never gave me a young goat, that I might make merry with my friends. But as soon as this son of yours, who has devoured your living with harlots. And you know, there really is no reference in the rest of the chapter to harlots. He imagined, and he made this announcement concerning what his brother had done. But this son of yours, he says, has come back, and you have killed the fatted calf. And he said, this son of yours is always with me. Is it right that we should make merry and be glad? His father says, it is right. He says, it is right that we should make merry and be glad. For your brother was dead and he's alive. He was lost and he's found. And the story ends with a question in the minds of those who heard it. Because the story was not resolved. The brother was angry, the older brother, and the older brother would not go into the party, and the father has come out of the party to speak to the older brother. And he accuses the father of many things which are not even true. And the question that's left in the minds of those who heard the story is, will this older brother go in to the party or not? And in reality, Jesus left the story unresolved because the older brother represents the Pharisees. And Jesus was appealing to them to come in. And they had to make their decision. The question for us is, will we go in? Or will we be like the Pharisees and stand out with hard hearts and refuse to go in to the party? Or will we go in and answer to the Lord's call?